your questions or comments for Ben Chavis, who turned one of the worst schools in California into one of the best, Andrew Colson, who studies education policy at the Cato Institute, and Noah Gottbaum, who says schools do need more money. Noah, first question for you from my Facebook page from Kevin Nag. How much money is enough?
You need enough money, to...
How much per student? We're spending $25,000 in New York per student about.
No, you're not spending anywhere near that. You're spending...
Andrew Colson, what are we spending
about
in New York?
$12,000 a year.
When Adam Schaefer, a guy on my staff, ran the numbers for New York City, looking at the budget here and dividing by enrollment, he gets a number around $21,000, and that's actually outdated by a couple of years.
All right, you say it's 12. What would be enough?
I'm not going to speculate on a number, John. But what I will say is that if you look at the best performing schools, be they charter schools, private schools, or some of the public schools that are in the suburbs, they're spending far more than that, and everyone knows it.
Yes.
When when a district decides to spend a certain amount of money, where does the money go? Does it go immediately towards teachers' salaries, or is it spread out over certain areas?
Whoever wants to take that.
Most of your money in the district, like Noah says, he says they're only getting $12,000. Noah's math isn't very good, first of all, because all you got to do is take the numbers. Never believe any school administrator, but even worse than school administrators are school board members. What you do is you take the total enrollment and you divide it into total budget. That's the way you get the accurate numbers. So you have to be very careful what these guys are telling you about money.
But I think his point is it goes to assistant principals.
We don't know where it goes. It's a black hole.
It's a government
or red hole.
They make money disappear. Yes.
Hello. My question is direct to the gentleman on the left.
Noah Gottbaum, a New York school board boss.
Would you consider anything resembling a voucher system? So parents would actually have the decision to decide where their where their children go to in order to support more effective teaching techniques rather than supporting some more ineffective teachers.
Yes, Noah Gottbaum, son of famous union leader Victor Gottbaum, vouchers, which I think are a wonderful idea. What do you think?
I think we have a huge acute need in our mainstream public school system here. 97% of the kids are going to mainstream public schools, are not going to charter schools. There is choice right now in the school system, but the focus should be on the hardcore, the 97% of the kids. And that's what I want to see happen.
So give them a voucher. They can take it to a private school, Catholic school.
But the private school, it won't pay for it, John. That's the problem.
Catholic school charge $5,000, halfway.
And they're all going out of business because
They're not all going out of business. A few went out of business.
In New York, a lot of them are. You can't educate them on the voucher amount.
That's incorrect. In California, for example, at Bishop O'Dowd, which is the top Catholic school in Oakland, it costs $10,000. The public school of Oakland is getting $18,000. If we paid for the kids to go to private schools, would save the taxpayer money.
Yes.
Is there any legislation anywhere in state or federal government to try to impose vouchers? Is there anything out there seriously that might be able to give it to us soon?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we have programs in about 16 states, 15 states in the District of Columbia that give private school choice. There's a fantastic program in Florida called it's an education tax credit program. Businesses donate money to nonprofits. The nonprofits pay tuition for low-income families to send their kids to private schools. It's hugely popular. It's now got support not just from the Republicans, but from the Democrats in the state, and it is growing faster than any other private school choice program in the country. So there are examples of this, and it is working.
We also have a voucher system at the university. The GI Bill created a voucher system. For the first time ever in my tribe, the first people to go to college, the first Indians in North Carolina to go to college, was a voucher called the GI Bill. It proved to be very effective.
Yes.
The Oakland gentleman, I think there's been some comments that your student population has really been selected and that you don't have a broad breadth.
You cherry pick your students.
Cherry pick your students. Is this true, or is it that you have the full spectrum of students at your district and it's been successful?
Well, you know, minorities, we're always picking something. Apples, peaches, plums. Now it's cherries. Every kid who applied to our school was accepted. So how do I cherry pick? We took every kid who applied.
And 98% are on the school lunch program. They are poor.
Right. If you got a lousy teacher and you don't fire him, your kids are going to perform bad. If you got a lousy principal, see, I believe in firing administrators and principals. The bottom line is working hard. That's what we do. We work hard.
Thank you, Ben, Andrew, and Noah. When we come back, I'll tell you why I think we should just blow up the public schools. Let 1,000 flowers bloom. People know that American public schools have problems, but surveys show most parents think their kids' public school is pretty good. But I think that's only because you don't know what your kids are missing. Without real competition, you don't know what your kids might have had. The suburban schools all say, we're above average. Johnny's above average. But when you look at the international comparisons, the sad truth is America's union-dominated government school monopoly does significantly worse than countries that spend much less. And although the education establishment claims schools need more money,
We already are cutting a third of the money from our budget for the library in this town, and it's a travesty.
the truth is America spends big. People say teachers are underpaid, but teachers average almost $50,000 a year. That's higher than the average income in America. Plus, most teachers, remember, work only 9 months a year. If you look at the average hourly K-12 teacher wage, it's more than what chemists, computer programmers, and registered nurses make. America spends a lot on K-12 education, and we keep spending more. You may have heard about that new $500 million school in Los Angeles.
The nation's costliest school ever. The school is on the site of the former Ambassador Hotel, home of the Coconut Grove nightclub in the 1950s and the Embassy Ballroom.
Okay, that's an extreme example, but in all of America, we have quadrupled spending since I was in college. That's adjusted for inflation. We spend 4 times as much per pupil as we used to. So what's the problem? Why are scores flat? Well, the biggest problem is the lack of competition. And there's no real competition because public schools in America are a government monopoly. Our phone company was once a monopoly. Remember that? All the phones were black, all the calls expensive. Only when the monopoly was broken up did we get lower prices and the variety of phone choices we have now. Competition makes everything better. The post office couldn't get it there overnight. They just couldn't do it. None of the brilliant managers of that government monopoly could make it happen. But once others, like FedEx, started to compete, and FedEx could get it there overnight, suddenly the post office could. Sometimes. Competition inspires people to do what we didn't think we could do. By contrast, monopolies create things like this car. This is the American school system. Actually, it's the Trabant. It was the best car the communist monopoly could produce. It was junk. It was such a bad car you had to put the oil and gas in separately and shake the car to mix them together. But the politicians said it was a very good car, and people stuck behind the Iron Curtain were eager to buy Trabants. Without competition, they didn't know what they might have had. The same holds true for our Trabant, the public schools. The solution? Competition. America now spends more than $12,000 per student per year. If we just attach that money to the kids and let them take it to any school, schools would compete for the money, and everyone's options would improve. Teachers' options, too. Good teachers would make more. Some government schools today spend $500,000 per classroom. Think about that. If there were a free market in education, parents would demand their schools spend more of that money on good teachers. The best teachers would make several $100,000 a year. They'd make more, and students would learn more. That's what competition does. It brings out the best in everyone. We ought to try it in America. And that's our program. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Catch the post-show conversation and get ticket information at johnstossel.com.